Donald Trump is for Donald Trump. He believes in nothing other than himself. Look, he's not a liberal, he's not a moderate, he's not a conservative, he's not a Democrat, he's not a Republican, he's not an independent. Donald Trump is for Donald Trump. He's not for anything, he's not against anything. Issues don't mean anything to him. Policies, ideals are not important to him. He is for Donald. Donald Trump is a narcissist and he's an egomaniac.
And that was Republican presidential candidate, Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal, he said, at the National Press Club yesterday. Those comments ignited, yes, a Twitter war between Jindal and Donald Trump. Trump tweeting, Bobby Jindal did not make the debate stage and therefore I have never met him. To which Jindal responded, we have met. You wrote a check. A fool and his money are soon parted. A fool and his dad's money are parted sooner. Which, of course, Mr. Trump responded, I only respond to people that register more than 1% in the polls. Ouch. I never thought he had a chance, and I've been proven right. Well, not to be left out of the fun, Senator Rand Paul had this to say about Trump supporters and the man himself.
But what people haven't quite come to grips with yet, and they don't know yet about Donald Trump, is that he's not a conservative, that he believes in using the government, the bully force of government, to take property from a small property owner and give it to a big business like himself, that he has been for a single-payer health care system like Obamacare, that he's been for abortion before he was against it. I don't believe that he's a conservative, but I really have no idea what he believes in because he's been on both sides of every issue. As an adult, most of his adult life, he's been a progressive Democrat.
Okay, Amy, coming to you first. Are you surprised that these are presidential candidates, people who want to be leaders of the free world, and yet they're acting like sophomores in high school?
Are you talking about Donald Trump and his remarks about Carly Fiorina?
No, I'm talking about everybody. I'm talking about Jindal.
Listen,
I'm talking about Paul. At first I was entertained.
It's the first time we've talked about Jindal. What a coincidence.
Right.
Yeah, good point.
Look, politics ain't beanbag, and politicians have been slinging mud for as long as there's been an
American.
American.
It like this.
Oh my goodness! I mean, if you look at newspapers from the 1800s and the cartoons that they were drawing, I mean, you know, give me a break. But to your point about Bobby Jindal, he's using this to get himself back in the news, to get people talking about him again. You were saying during the break you don't think it's going to work. I agree with you because look who's tried it: Rick Perry, Rand Paul. Like none of this is working. And if you look at polling data, the #1 attribute that Trump supporters say they like about him is that he's tough. Not his ideology, not his consistency, it's his personality they're drawn to.
Sun Tzu says every war is won before it is ever fought.
Well, it's true.
And in this case, exactly to your point, you go after Trump, he specializes in being obnoxious in his retorts, and they're effective and they're funny. We were all laughing. You cannot win this war, and I understand that Jindal is below 1% and he has to do something, but this is going to backfire. We know this.
But you know, since I often use you as my psychiatrist,
and you made me 50 years old before.
Yeah, well, you know, I have to say this to you. My feelings are deeply, deeply hurt because you will recall a few weeks back there were a few commenters who complained that I had said something that I thought was funny about Donald Trump's hair. And they wrote in very angry at me, and I apologized and said I'd never do it again, which I haven't. And do you know, I'm waiting for those commenters to write back in and say, you know what, if you're making fun of Donald Trump's hair and I'm giving you a hard time, maybe I should say something about him making fun of a woman's face. And yet those emails haven't come yet. Folks, I'm waiting for you. You must be annoyed by that if you were so annoyed by my saying something funny about his hair.
Speaking of hair, Gilliam, since yours is
growing.
Tremendous. Well done. The comments about Fiorina, since we haven't been able to talk to you about this, completely uncalled for. Right? To bring in a woman's face into a national debate on something, saying, can we look at that for the next 4 or 8 years? Yet, we came to the agreement, I want to see you will as well, this will have no effect on his poll numbers whatsoever, and especially amongst women, where he's actually doing better and better. Do people just like the fact that he's being candid, and maybe this is the way people speak at home, and they're saying the same thing about Fiorina?
I don't know anybody who
I think that's part. I think that's
Oh,
actually.
sure
I think that's a big part of it.
I don't know people who talk like this.
In
Who
every
say,
living
look at that
room,
person's face. Look at
There's 350 million people in this country, and a lot of them, when they have a couple beers, they do talk like this.
Yes.
But here's the reality that I'm actually seeing is that a lot of females that want somebody to talk to females and treat females like they would treat anybody else, they didn't take offense to that. They didn't take offense to it at all. They're like, hey, he's treating her like he treated everybody else. And I think that was something that resonated with a lot of people.
In an ugly and despicable
Shame
way.
on them if that's how they feel about it.
But you know what's interesting?
We raise our kids to not
one
speak that way.
One more point about this.
Quickly.
Donald Trump, he's supposed to be, so strong in his ministry. He's trying to backpedal on all of this.
Yeah, he is.
Right?
As he should, yeah, because he knows in this one, he says it was her persona that they were talking
He's supposed
about.
to be a straight
So he
talker.
doesn't
but-
have this real courage.
So what do
No,
you think
he does
about the
not.
Twitter war between Bobby Jindal and Donald Trump? Go to newsmaxtv.com/comments and let us know. And be sure to get your copy of Ben Carson's book, One Nation, absolutely free. All you have to do is cover the shipping cost of $4.95. Call 1-800-655-7567, 800-655-7567, or visit newsmax.com/Ben. Up next, we have the latest on the Iran deal. Stay tuned.